Now, we're diving into a topic that's reshaping the geopolitical landscape of South Asia: India-Russia relations in flux, strategic shifts, and South Asian alliances. This is a story of shifting alliances, defense deals gone sour, and a region where old friendships are being tested by new realities. So grab a coffee and let's break it down. For decades, India and Russia, back when it was the Soviet Union, were like two peas in a pod. Moscow was India's go-to arms supplier, delivering everything from tanks to fighter jets. They had India's back diplomatically too. Remember the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War? The Soviets provided critical military supplies and even vetoed UN resolutions to shield India from Pakistan's moves. It was a rock-solid partnership born in the Cold War. But fast forward to 2025, and things are looking very different. Cracks are showing, and the strategic ground is shifting under our feet. Why? Let's unpack the big reasons. First up, defense deals, or rather, deals that didn't happen. Back in 2012, India needed to modernize its air force. Russia was in the game with its MiG-35 fighter jet, expecting to lock in a massive $20 billion contract for 126 aircraft. But India shocked everyone by choosing the French Rafale jet instead. Ouch! That was a huge blow to Moscow, which had always seen India as a guaranteed buyer. Russian analysts were fuming, and some even suggested Moscow tried to sabotage the Rafale deal behind the scenes. This wasn't just about money, it was a geopolitical wake-up call. India was starting to look beyond Russia for its defense needs. The fighter jet saga didn't stop there. India and Russia were supposed to co-develop a next-gen stealth fighter based on Russia's Su-57. But by 2018, India pulled back, citing issues with technology and quality. Instead, New Delhi doubled down on a smaller Rafale purchase and focused on upgrading its own homegrown jets. From Moscow's perspective, this was a trend. India was diversifying, and Russia's once dominant grip on India's defense market was slipping. Now let's talk about India's westward pivot. Over the last decade, India has gotten cozy with the United States and Israel. The numbers don't lie. Russia used to supply 65% of India's arms from 2000 to 2020, but by 2023 that share dropped to just 28%. Israel actually overtook Russia as India's top arms supplier. The US has been wooing India with high-end gear like Apache helicopters, P-8 maritime planes, and even a groundbreaking deal in 2023 to co-produce jet engines in India. Israel's in the mix too, supplying drones, missiles, and anti-missile systems. Why the shift? India wants cutting-edge tech and less reliance on one supplier. Plus, with the US and India teaming up in the Quad to counter China, the geopolitical stars are aligning. This westward tilt is a big deal. India's not just buying weapons, it's realigning its strategy. Russia's noticed and they're not thrilled. They've even dangled new offers for helicopters and jets, but India's focused on Make in India with Western partners. The old special relationship? It's starting to feel more like a business transaction. Then there's the Russia-Ukraine war, which has thrown a wrench into things. India's tried to stay neutral, but here's the kicker. Indian-made artillery shells have ended up in Ukraine via European middlemen. Moscow is not happy. They've raised the issue with India multiple times, including a tense meeting in July 2024, where Russia's foreign minister called it a breach of trust. Even though these shells are less than 1% of Ukraine's imports, the symbolism stings for Russia. They expected India to have their back, or at least stay out of it. Meanwhile, India's raking in billions from discounted Russian oil, which hit record trade levels in 2023. So India is playing both sides, buying Russian oil but letting its ammo reach Ukraine. It's a tightrope walk and Moscow's starting to grumble. Now here's where it gets spicy. Pakistan is cozying up to Russia. Yeah, you heard that right. Historically, Russia was Team India, while Pakistan was backed by the US and China. But since the Ukraine war, Pakistan's seen an opening. In 2022, Pakistan's then Prime Minister Imran Khan visited Moscow, right as the Ukraine invasion started. Talk about timing. They discussed a massive gas pipeline project and energy deals. By 2023, Pakistan was importing discounted Russian oil, with their PM calling it the beginning of a new relationship. They're even holding joint military drills and talking about Russian arms sales, like Mi-35 helicopters. For Pakistan, this is a chance to diversify away from the US. For Russia, It's about new markets and sticking it to the West. India's watching this with alarm. Every step Pakistan takes toward Russia feels like a step away from India's old exclusive bond with Moscow. And then there's China, the elephant in the room. China's Pakistan's all-weather ally, and they've got Russia's ear too with their no-limits partnership since 2022. In April 2025, after a terrorist attack in Kashmir spiked India-Pakistan tensions, China publicly backed Pakistan's narrative, calling for an impartial investigation. If a full-blown India-Pakistan conflict breaks out, China would likely have Pakistan's back, maybe even opening a second front along India's border. Russia, tied to China, might not join the fight, but could lean their way diplomatically, leaving India without its old Soviet-style support. So, what happens if India and Pakistan face off in a crisis? The stakes are huge. Strategically, the US and its allies would likely back India, but they'd push for de-escalation to avoid a nuclear catastrophe. China would go all in for Pakistan, and Russia might follow China's lead, staying neutral at best or quietly helping Pakistan at worst. Militarily, India is still reliant on Russian gear, so if Moscow slows down spare parts, it could hurt. Pakistan, armed by China and maybe Russia, could hold its own longer with Chinese support. Diplomatically, the UN and groups like BRICS could become battlegrounds for rival blocs. US, Europe, Japan versus China, Russia. Economically, India could face Russian oil cutoffs, while Pakistan leans on Chinese bailouts. It's a messier, more globalized conflict than anything we've seen in South Asia before. Here's the bottom line. India-Russia relations aren't what they used to be. The Rafale deal, the Ukraine war, Pakistan's outreach, and China's shadow have changed the game. India's balancing new Western friends while trying not to burn bridges with Russia. Pakistan's playing the Russia card to counter India. And China's pulling strings to keep India on edge. This isn't just about two countries. It's about a new power dynamic in Asia. What's next? Diplomacy will be key. India needs to keep Russia close enough to avoid a full Moscow-Pakistan alliance. Russia will keep sweet-talking India but follow China's lead. Pakistan will push for more Russian support. And China? They'll keep stirring the pot. If things go south, a regional conflict could pull in global powers with nuclear risks looming large. It's a high-stakes chessboard, and everyone's watching.